My brother is a Vietnam veteran, served in Da Nang, and myself, a veteran. My entire family are veterans. We were all enlisted men. We were at the bottom rung of who joins and goes and has to fight.
All right, folks. We're going to come back with this interview I taped earlier today.
This is Alex.
Okay, let's get back into more of this interview I taped earlier today that we're premiering. Former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura setting the record straight, and he calls for Fox News to retract and others, and basically lets them know that he's going to be coming after them for what they've done. And you can also hear later, I bring it up to Jesse, his wife in the background is a really nice lady. I've never heard her in an interview, talking. She's obviously upset by this as well. But this is the anatomy of a psyop, of a hit piece against real Americans. Here's the rest of it.
Veteran. My entire family are veterans. We were all enlisted men. We were at the bottom rung of who joins and goes and has to fight and go to war. So for someone to state that I would take joy and pleasure, and especially one of my SEAL teammates would die, that I would enjoy that, is despicable. It's wrong. And this never happened. And I can't know what the motives are for this. I can only assume that obviously the war machine or the people that support war do not like to hear people talk who don't support war. But I have never, ever wished death upon any military serviceman. Alex, that's the most ridiculous thing. We've known each other. Go back and look at everything I've ever said in public that is recorded.
You always say the same thing. You always say, I've been in airports where you shake the troops' hands, thank them for their service, get a tear in your eye and say, be safe. You've always said you're against the wars, feeding these good men and women in there. When I called you when the Navy SEALs helicopter, the ones that knew about the bin Laden raid, and it blew up, you got upset on the phone. And this is clearly designed. He says it with real pleasure in his eyes. To make the military and the Navy SEAL community turn against you. It's the worst thing, the worst story that you could ever make up. And it is vicious. And I have to think it's more than to just sell this book. When you find out he's going after government contracts internationally with the military and domestic police agencies with his craft group, it is super creepy. Governor, to Fox News, who's the main, they're acting like this is the #1 story in the country. They are, for 4 days, every other show, this guy's on there. They're reporting it as it's a fact. They're clearly going after you. Obviously, do you want to call for a retraction? Because they don't put a Navy SEAL claims he punched out Ventura. They state it like they got video of it. They never try to call the bar owner. They never call for witnesses. They just put him on TV like it's true, and this is unbelievable.
Well, certainly I would like a retraction, and I'm going to defend myself, Alex. I'm not going to say over the show what I'm doing right now, but I'm not taking this lying down. This is extremely serious. It's heartbreaking. Truly to me, that someone would accuse me. Because like I said, it's like accusing my family. My mother and father taught me, and they taught me well. And everyone in my family's a veteran. And anyone who knows me, the guys that served with me, why don't they talk to some of them and ask them how I was? Talk to my Master Chief, Terry Mother Moy. And ask him, would I say anything like this? This is absurd, and it can be easily counteracted if I was up in the States. But again, like you said, Alex, how timely. Obviously, I must be under some type of surveillance for people to know exactly when I would cross the border and have no means to communicate or to fight for myself, and it would give them the time to sink this story in and across the airwaves, and then, of course, fiction becomes fact, I guess, as many times. The damage is done. I can't do anything about that, but you can bet that I will seek a full retraction of this, and I'll tell you, if you want anyone wants on your show, I demand a retraction, because what this person is saying is unequivocally untrue. If I would have said those things, he would have hit me. but he never hit me. So clearly, Alex, I did not say those things.
If this Kyle individual, this Chris Kyle, was standing in front of you, who wants to make his big name off to trying to destroy your honor, if he was standing in front of you right now, what would you say to him? Because undoubtedly he's going to watch this.
I would simply ask him why he would lie about committing a crime against me. Why would he go on national TV and lie about assaulting me, which is a crime, and admit that he did it? What'd you say? And admit that he did it if he said he did. And I know I'd look at him and smile and go, "You've never hit me in your life."
Well, it's incredibly...
You've never hit.
I mean, it's incredibly cowardly. You know, I've done a lot of interviews with you, Governor, and been on your TV show for 3 seasons now. And I've met your wife, great lady. I know she's been in the background before during interviews. I've never heard her jumping in. Sounds like Terry's pretty upset. What's your wife think of this?
No, of course she is. We've been married 36 years. She knows me better than any other person on the planet does. And like any couple, when one couple is hurt, the other feels the pain also. Anyone that's ever been in love and had a wife knows that. And so, sure, she's feeling my pain. She's feeling it with me, as she always has. But there's not a more loyal person in the world than her. And I know I always have her support 100%. And she has been out there with me. My wife has been to McPee's. She knows that nothing like that would ever happen, or she would know about it. She's friends with many of my SEAL team teammates. I challenge this, Alex. I challenge the SEAL community for anyone else who knows of this event to come forward, because no one will. And if they do, they're being untruthful, because it did not happen, unequivocally. This guy never hit me. I don't even know him. If he walked into the room right now, Alex, I wouldn't know who he was.
Well, when the truth comes out, he's going to be known as basically a Benedict Arnold. Next to the word defamation in the dictionary is going to be a picture of this guy, because I cannot imagine anything more dishonorable than to be part of a community, an elite community of people that serve their country, and then to concoct such a horrible lie, and then to try to bring so much pain to the Navy SEALs and their families that have lost or been wounded, and to try to blame it all on you. It is beyond sickening and disgusting and cowardly. And that's why when I heard this and saw this and registered the body language, I went and did research on this guy, and a chill went up my spine. The Richard Pearl, Dick Cheney connections. He's an Eric Prince Blackwater wannabe setting this thing up in Dallas. I thought, oh my God, they put him up to this, and I got nauseous by Friday when I knew this was going to be pure bull, Jesse, and I just cannot believe it. Well, look, they're scared of you. You ought to be proud they're doing this. They want to destroy you politically, even though you weren't intending to run. And I wrote an article yesterday about this with Paul Watson. I said this may have the opposite effect. If they think this is going to run, we're going to go to break and come back and finish up with the interview. But somebody's got to stand up against these lies, because if they can pick us off one by one, I mean, what are they going to claim next week? That I was murdering penguins at the North Pole, or that I work with Hitler? All right, here is another 10 minutes of this interview, and we've got a whole nother segment of it with Governor Jesse Ventura breaking down the attempt to assassinate his character, to defame him, because he exposes the New World Order, because he's a prominent person who won't lie down. It gets even more powerful right here. Here it is. You ought to be proud they're doing this. They want to destroy you politically, even though you weren't intending to run. I wrote an article yesterday about this with Paul Watson. I said this may have the opposite effect. If they think this is going to run you off and make you go into the sunset, this may pull you out of the sunset, Jesse, because I know you've been veering towards going off into the sunset.
Well, only to surf, Alex, but again, on a serious note, For him to make allegations that I would take any joy in a United States military person dying in a war, I don't. And when you ask me what I would say to him if I saw him face to face, I would say, how dare you? I can be against a war, but I have never, ever been against the poor soldiers, sailors, and airmen that have to fight it, regardless of which war that is. And I've lived through a lot of them, Alex, because it's 30 years now of my life that my country has been at war. And I'm sick of war, and I'll say it to anybody. I despise war. War is the failure of politicians. Their ultimate failure is the ultimately why you have war. But I would never, ever say anything to hurt any soldier, sailor, or airman because they did their job. Is that strong enough, Alex?
It's strong, Governor. I just wonder what they're thinking, because Fox News and others have really opened themselves up, repeatedly stating this like it's a fact. They never say claim. They say, but again, knocking you out, that's to make you, defame you as a tough guy, as you're known to be. And then, but that's nothing in my view, as you've agreed. I mean, they've got to know that you're obviously going to come after them, and it's mind-blowing that before Fox went with this, before others did, that they didn't call McPease and find out that this was total bull.
Well, it is total bull because, Doc McPartland, like I said, I've known him. He was one of my instructors after I completed BUDS, and I went to what they call SBI, SEAL Basic Indoctrination. And I see the doc all the time when I'm down there. I always ask him how business is going. And if this event would have happened in his bar 5.5 years ago, or it's a bar eating establishment, both. If this would have happened, this would have been on the news 5.5 years ago. How does it suddenly rear its head 5.5 years later? Because it's not true. It did not happen. Nobody's ever hit me there. Nothing like that has happened. And, I'll be interested to see what witnesses can possibly come forward to this event, because you can't have a witness to an event that didn't happen.
That's right, and Fox and all the other channels always just take clips of interviews from my show without asking, but I'm here giving them permission if they want to try to begin to set things right. Not that that's possible, but they're basically on notice. You better retract, and knowing them, they don't care. Look at News Corp with what they've been caught doing in England, spying, bribing, wiretapping people. They have the New York Post, do similar things before that they did have to retract on 9/11 truth groups. And they just don't care. They've got a mission because they know they're getting ready to start a new war, and they want to try to discredit you ahead of that. They hate the fact that you are a UDT Navy SEAL. They hate the fact that you're a popular movie star, wrestler, governor, mayor, best-selling author.
Alex, let me interject for a moment on McPease. McPease would never let me back in if I would have said those things. I can tell you that. Doc McPartland would never even let me set my foot in there if I would have stated what this guy said I said.
Well, they're trying to turn the whole SEAL community against you. I think this is just look, you called into my show first, and then you were on the local TV and newspapers the next day with retractions when they said you were tailgating like a maniac in California getting to the airport. And I just talked to you the day before to get you on the radio show the next week when you were in Minnesota. I called your Minnesota. You haven't flown in 16 months because of the TSA groping you. It's all over the news. You're suing them. All of this is going on, and they have TMZ hooked up with Fox come out and say that you're this maniac, and then they remove the article but don't retract when your lawyer calls them, and now they do this again with this guy rolling out I think this guy's a useful idiot that the insiders contacted and talked into doing this. That's clearly what happened here, and he doesn't seem like he's that smart, and I think he's going to get in a lot of trouble.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to do what I need to do